11:05 when I told them to come back. So whenever you're ready, we can just go ahead and get started.
Amazing. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm back. It's only been a few weeks. I'm super excited to be spending the next hour with you all. For those of you who don't remember who I am, I'm Gorick. I'm a first-generation low-income college student. I am the son of a working class single mother who left school when she was 12 years old to support her brothers. I was lucky enough to have gotten into Harvard for my undergrad, went there for 4 years, studied political science, and then entered the business world where I became a management consultant, which is basically like a doctor for a company. I worked in the business world for a few years, returned to Harvard to get my MBA, and am now releasing a book, which is right behind me, called The Unspoken Rules: Secrets to Starting Your Career Off Right. Today's session is all about how to take advantage of opportunities. But after last time's session, Elisha and I had a really good conversation, and a number of others as well, about what you're all going through right now. And I know a lot of you who are sophomores and juniors are starting to think ahead to the college application process that awaits you in 6 months. And it seemed like from last time, a lot of you wanted to talk about how to approach that process from the perspective of which schools to apply to, how to put together your application, and how to get scholarships so you get funding for your education, whether it's financial aid or merit-based scholarships. So I know also that a lot of you are seniors, so I want to make this relevant to everyone. So I'm going to talk generally about how I think about taking advantage of opportunities, and then I want to focus in on what each of us can do given where we are, whether you're a sophomore, a junior, or a senior. Before I continue, let me do a quick poll. If you can all type into the chat what year you're in. Are you a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior? Type into the chat now. Did I get a Jim? Sophomore, junior, 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 junior. All right. You know, I think I get a little awkward sometimes when I'm the only one talking. So let's go around the room. And I also want to learn your names. I know I've been practicing over the last couple of months. Be prepared to unmute yourself. I want you to say 2 things. Actually, say 3 things. 1, your name. 2, your year. I know I can read, but later, Marcus. The second, so 3 things I want to hear from you all. We're going to go around the room. 1, your name. 2, your year. And 3, when it comes to your future plans, whether it's scholarships, colleges, universities, a job, your future, your major, what's the one thing that you want us to talk about today? All right, so I will start. My name is Gorick Ng. You heard my intro already. And today I want to talk about whatever you all want to talk about. I want to be useful to you. I don't just want to talk about what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what you all want to talk about. So let me bump this over to Elisha because I know we talked last time. So Elisha, take it away and then call on the next person. Elisha, you there with us? All right, let's start off with Bianca. Bianca, are you here?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's answer those 3 questions and then call on the next person.
All right, my name is Bianca Torres. My year is 2022. Future plans, I guess, is to learn more about scholarships, grants, and overall just getting into college or universities, etc.
In general, you said, right?
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Actually, can I add one more question? Based on the goals that you want to accomplish today in our time together, what's something that you've already done to get yourself closer to this goal, if anything? Doesn't have to be anything.
So far, I've listed the colleges that I want to get into.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, that's really it for the most part. Still need more to go, but
Awesome.
the next person I'll call out is Cecilia.
Hi, my name is Celia Tana, and I'm a sophomore. Something I think I agree with Bianca. Like, I really want to talk about like scholarships and things like that. Oh, I've also listed my colleges that I'm looking now that I'm looking into. And the next person I want to call on is Ruth.
Hi, my name is Ruth Bulu. I'm a junior, and my year is 2022. Something that I'm looking forward to talking about is scholarships because I want to like understand more about them and like how to apply to more. And yeah. Something I've done so far is I've applied to a couple of scholarships. I've talked to some colleges. That's it. Um, the next person, um, is it Chantel?
Hi, my name is Chantel. I'm a junior, and I wanted to learn a lot about scholarships because I'm a junior, and I know that it's gonna get like really close to like graduating. Like I'm almost gonna graduate, and I've actually done research on scholarships for like my career goal, but like I want to learn about like more scholarships that I can get. So
Awesome.
I'll call on Marjorie.
You with us, Marjorie? Maybe call on the next person.
I'll call on Esther.
Okay. My name is Esther Osunjimi. I am a sophomore and I'll be graduating in 2023. Something that I want to learn more about is like understanding college life and like what goes on and what's expected. And something that I already have accomplished is I already know what college I really want to go to. I'll call on Kaden.
Hello, my name is Caden Rain. I'm a junior.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaden.
What
Can you
was the-
share? Yeah, can you share a little bit about what you want to get out of today in terms of your, we can talk about a lot of things. What's the one thing that's on your mind that you want us to talk about? And what is one thing you've done to get yourself closer to that goal?
One thing I want to talk about today was life after college, as far as career wise. Me personally, I like to go into the medical field, and so I kind of wanted to know that once you graduate from undergrad, what's the difference in life between college and living on your own and still kind of pushing through financially by yourself. And what I've done to get there so far is I've been shadowing doctors from UT Southwestern, and I've also shadowed a few dentists out of Cedar Hill. And I'm currently in contact, I believe, with 3 or 4 doctors also from UT Southwestern, and one from Nashville, Tennessee.
Amazing. Who are we missing now? Did Marjorie go? Is Elisha back? I Anyone else I'm missing?
Me.
Go for it.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Dejaya Piggy. I am a junior, class of 2022. And something I really want to get out of this is how does college like actually prepare you for life? Like I know it's supposed to, but sometimes some people are successful without college. So I want to know like how does it actually prepare you? And something that I've been doing, I guess to prepare for this goal is like actually researching people that's successful without college and people that are successful with college. So that's what I've really been doing.
Thank you, Jay. Anyone else? Last dibs. All right. Going once? Going twice? All right, let's dive in. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your experience with me. It's really helpful for me to know what's on your mind so we can talk specifically about what you want to get out of this next little while. So I want to do just one quick rule for the next little while. This time, I decided not to bring a PowerPoint because you've probably seen enough PowerPoint presentations. I'm just going to talk with you. And I want to talk with you, not at you. So I want you all to interrupt me. I'm going to be chatting. I'm going to be sharing my thoughts. I'm going to be rambling a little bit. But I want this to be a conversation. So if there's anything I say that is not making any sense, where maybe you've heard something different from someone else, or you have follow-up questions, I want you to unmute and say, Gorick, I have a question. All right. And I'm going to, my screen is down here. My camera is up here. So I'm going to look at the camera. I'm not going to be looking at you. So I want you all to unmute and say Gorick whenever you have a question. All right. I want you to do this. And the person who does this first will be my new best friend. So please, please, please interrupt me. All right. So here's my little rant, and you should all interrupt me during this rant. So Caden and Dejaya both mentioned life after college. So let me start there. Because the way I think about my future is you start with the end goal, which is where do I want to be? Or who do I want to become? Or what problem do I want to solve? Or whose life do I want to improve? Start with that very, very end goal that is going to be the North Star for your career, your life. And it's that question that you ask yourself at the start of every morning. When you wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, what's the point of hustling? What's the point of working hard? What is it that I'm trying to do? It sounds like in Caden's case, it's helping people. It's to help people at a time of need. It's at a time when they're not feeling well as a doctor. If you are, let's say, working in a nonprofit, maybe it's helping a different type of people. If you're working in government, maybe it's helping people through a certain government department. If you're an academic, if you become a professor, you're helping people by contributing to our society's body of knowledge. So think about, where do you want to be? Not just 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, but really think backwards from where you want to be. And a good way that I like to do this actually is I like to go on Wikipedia and go on Google, where I want someone to mention someone. Go ahead, unmute, and tell me one person that you think of that's someone that you want to become. Give me a name, any name. Anyone? And I'm going to Google, and we're going to stalk this person together. Someone give me a person that you look up to and that you want to become. Anyone? Come on.
Dale.
What's up?
Dr. Dale. What's his last name? Okarundo.
Do you mind spelling that for me? That's an unfamiliar name.
Oh, Name Black. He's the founder of Black Men in White Coats. So if you look at Black Men in White Coats, you'll see the name.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Cool. So this is a person. Now imagine for a moment, this is someone you're interested in, right? And you may not want to become a doctor. That's cool. You might want to work in a different field, but whatever it is, I want you to think about people you want to become. So in the case of him, if I learn about this person, I'm going to do this. I'm going to scroll through Google and I'm going to search for his name. There he is. Do you guys all see my screen, by the way?
Yes.
Amazing. So now, no, I know nothing about this person. And this is going to be the case for a lot of you when you think of someone that you want to become. So let's now stalk him. Let's go on his page. Let's open a tab. He's at UT Southwestern. Amazing. He's got a LinkedIn account. That's great. Let's open that too. He's got a lot of links. This is awesome. So he's got a lot of stockable material. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and figure out what he's all about, right? He started Black Men in White Coats. Wow, so he's created a business here. He's got books. He's got an online course, it looks like. He's got a podcast. He's been in the media. This is awesome. He looks like a total badass. So let's try to figure out, how did he become who he is today? Let's go on his about page and let's see how he talks about himself. About the founder. Born in Texas, outside of Houston. You know, this is a lot of text, so I don't have time to read all this text. Let's go on his LinkedIn profile, because his LinkedIn profile is probably going to give us a lot about what he did step by step. So let's see. He went to the University of Missouri, Columbia. He graduated in 2006. 2006, I'm going to expand his profile here. So 2006 to 2010, 4 years, he was doing something, but he's not talking about it in his LinkedIn profile. I'm going to have to look, excuse me, I'm going to have to look that up a little bit more. Let's keep going. So from 2010 to 2013, he went to Duke University School of Medicine. He studied internal medicine from 2013. So that's where he was here. And then in the timeline, from 2013 to 2016, he became a fellow at UT Southwestern. Around this time, actually, it looks like 1 year before he graduated from his medical school, he started Diverse Medicine, Inc. He started this website. And then also, let's see, the year of his graduation, he founded Black Men in White Coats to increase the number of Black men in the field of medicine. Amazing. And along the way, 2015, that's 2 years after he graduated. So he's now a doctor. He's now a doctor in training. 2015, he founded Diverse Medicine Recruitment Center. Amazing. He's now working at Dallas VA Medical Center, and he's now a speaker as well. Very cool. Total badass. And that's just from 1 minute looking at his LinkedIn profile. Now I have a sense, okay, so if I want to become this individual, I got to go to medical school. I don't necessarily have to go to his medical school or his college, but I can get a sense that, okay, so you go to college, he studied biology. He probably had to do really well in biology in order to get into medical school. When he was in medical school, he started doing this training, and he probably realized along the way that, oh, I don't just want to be a doctor. It's really impressive already to be a doctor, but I don't just want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor and do something else. So while he was in medical school, he started this nonprofit. He started this company. So now it's giving me already a sense of who this person is and what choices this person had to make to get to where he is today. Let's do one more person that's outside of medicine. Anyone else have a person that we should stalk together? Give me any person.
Like from a career, like a career standpoint, like somebody in the career in the field?
Yes, unless you want to be Beyonce. That's cool too.
That's always the answer.
Is that what you're thinking of?
I was thinking about Beyonce, but I cannot be Beyonce. Let's do and this is probably me being really old. Let's do civil rights activist, or actually labor rights activist. She could be both. Dolores Huerta.
Okay. Do you mind spelling the name as well?
Yeah. I'll put it in the chat.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to do some more stalking, friends. I'm going to close some of these tabs just to make our lives a little bit easier.
I'm hoping she has a
LinkedIn. What's that?
I said I'm hoping she has a LinkedIn.
Oh, well, there. Hey, we've got a Wikipedia profile, which is just as good. All right. So we're going to stalk this person. We're going to try to figure out, how did this person get to where they are today? So they've got a foundation. They've got a Wikipedia page. By the way, on my laptop, if you're using a PC, I'm just holding down Control and then pressing the link. So I'm opening a new tab. You know, that's pretty good. Let's do Britannica as well. Control, press, open a new tab. All right, let's do some stalking. Wikipedia is probably going to be the easiest one. So let's go there first, just to save a little bit of time. All right, so labor leader and civil rights activist. Now, what I'm going to do usually is I'm going to go straight to the right-hand side, where I see, okay, this person was born in 1930. They're 90 years old. They were born in New Mexico. They went here's their college. They joined a political party. Amazing. Now I'm going to start skimming some of their early life. Grew up in a mining town, second of children. You know, some of these, they're interesting, of course, but for the purposes of figuring out a career path, I'm just going to focus on the milestones. Like, what did they do? So here, all right, she was a student at Stockton High School. She was a member of the Girl Scouts. All right, there's not much. She attended college at the University of the Pacific, Stockton College. She went to community college. And right after, and then she ended up becoming a teacher. She taught elementary school. And then after leaving her elementary school job, she started becoming an activist. And then started, let's see, co-founded a community service organization, and then so on and so forth. So here again, right? I don't know who this person is, but I just learned through just a minute of Wikipedia stalking what choices this person had to make. So this person went to community college, became a teacher, and then somewhere along the way made a change and decided to become an activist. Now, you can actually do this with a lot of people. You can do this with anyone. So the next time you think of someone in the field that you might be interested in, start looking at their profiles and start stalking them and start figuring out, where did they go to school? What did they study in school? What did they do during school? And what did they do after school? Maybe just for that first job and second job. And you'll already have a good sense. Of course, we've only done 2 people, right? So we don't know yet if this is the pattern or if this is an exception. But once you do enough people, let's say 4 or 5, you're going to start having a pretty good idea of who is, you know, in the fields that you're interested in, and more importantly, how they got to where they are today. So that's the first part. Identify that end goal, and it can be really overwhelming to think about, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And, you know, all of us honestly are trying to figure that out too. But just having a few role models can help you get more concrete about who you want to become. Now, there was an earlier question about, how does college prepare you for the next step? Because in the case of being an activist, becoming a doctor even, what you study in undergrad doesn't necessarily relate to what you want to do in the future. Of course, if you want to go to medical school, studying biology is going to be a requirement. And you're going to learn that, right? You're going to learn that you need to study something in the sciences to get into medical school. We won't know that just from looking at one profile. You're going to have to look at, 4, 5, 6. But to become an activist, you don't have to go to community college. You don't have to become a teacher. It just so happens that this person did this. So what's the purpose of college? I think that becomes the next question, right? College is really for two reasons. Three reasons. And these are kind of the unspoken reasons. The first reason is something called labor market signaling. It's like a traffic light. That's a signal. When the light turns green, that's a signal for you to go. When the light turns red, that's a signal for you to stop. The economy, your career, is very similar, where you're signaling, you're sending a signal to someone that I know something. So in the case of the doctor earlier, they're signaling that I know biology, I went to a good school, I got a good grade. Therefore, you can trust me to be a doctor. If you want to work in business, maybe you'll want to study economics or business administration or accounting or whatever it is. Are you going to learn in school what you need to do to be an accountant? Not necessarily. You're not necessarily learning anything in biology class that's going to be directly relevant to becoming a doctor, but you're signaling to the world that this is something you're capable of. And it's actually really frustrating, actually. I'm going to go on a little rant here where why do we spend so much time, so much money just to send a signal? Well, I wish I had a good explanation other than that's kind of how it's always been done, where people who've come before us have had to get certain credentials. You know, you need to be an apprentice to become a plumber. You need to go to aviation school and get a license to become a pilot. That's just how it works. You need to get these licenses, these credentials, this degree to do what you want to do. However, a lot of what college teaches you isn't these practical skills. So if you're studying, let's say, history or social or biology, there isn't going to be a job for you that's going to say, we want biology majors or we want economics majors. So a lot of what college is about is really the second and the third thing, which is in addition to having a college degree, which is, you know, signaling to the world that you're hardworking, that you're smart, that you can go through the experience, you're also learning, of course. You're learning academically. You're learning personally about what you want to do with your life. And so college is just as much about going through the classroom experience as it is about going through the extracurricular experience. And so in my case, when I was going through college, I spent a lot of time on my extracurriculars. I ran a small business. I was a part of a nonprofit. I volunteered on a political campaign. I did a lot of stuff. That's a part of my college experience. In fact, as I look back, that was a bigger part of my college experience than sitting in class, because quite frankly, I don't remember anything I learned in class, but I do remember the experience of knocking on doors, of running a business. Those are the experiences that a lot of people don't pay attention to in college, but that are really a part of the college experience. The third thing you get out of college is social capital. That's a fancy way of saying connections, relationships. So you've probably heard the cliche, which is it's not what you know, but who you know. And it's true to some degree, where it's not necessarily about how well you know biology. It's about, do you know someone at this lab who can give you a referral to a job? Do you have someone who can tell other people to hire you? And your professional network is really not just your friends, but it's your friends of friends and the people around you, where all of us are now a part of your network. And you have permission to contact me in the future and say, hey, we met on April 3rd, 2021. I'm a part of your network now. And in college, it's really important to build that network. So to not just go to school and do well in school, but to meet people who will inspire you, who will be your friends, who will be your connections, who are going to set you up for success long-term. You never know who you might sit beside in class, who might end up going places and taking you with them. So those are the three things you get in college, which it kind of feels weird, right? Because we think, oh, school, like it's all about the grades. You know, it might feel a little bit weird to be saying this, like, oh, I went to Harvard, you know, I should be all about school. It's really not about school, my friends. It's really about the broader experience. Anyways, let me pause there just for one moment. Any questions, any comments, anything you're confused about so far before we move on? Did that answer the earlier two questions? I think two people asked about college and life after college. So I want those two people to give me sort of a verbal thumbs up or I still have questions.
Yes, it cleared up my question.
Awesome. Do you have other questions?
No, sir, I don't.
Awesome. And who was it that asked the other question about after college? Was it Caden? All right, let's now work backwards. So now I've talked about where do you want to be, and I've talked about college. Now let's talk about getting into college, which is really going to be a question of where do you want to be? Imagine two circles in a Venn diagram. One circle is where do you want to be? And the next circle is where do you have the best chances? So a lot of you have done your homework about picking schools. Let's do that really quickly together. A couple of you who were at the last session will have gone through this exercise already, but just for the purposes of going through this, let's do this together. So earlier we had, what was it? Black men in white coats. This person became a doctor. I have never done the search before, so we're going to do this in real time just to show you how I would go through it. So this person, let's start off with UT Southwestern. Let's open a new tab and let's do UT Southwestern medical school ranking. What I want to do is I want to figure out what is the best school that I can apply to. And a lot of times people will say, you want to find a school that fits you. That's true. And fit can be defined by a lot of things. Does it have the programs that you like? Is it, in the place that you want to be, if you want to be far away from home or close to home? Is it expensive or inexpensive? Like all of those things matter. But let's start with rankings. And I kind of hate saying this, but rankings matter because in the end, the person that you want to impress is going to probably be more impressed with you if you went to a higher ranked school. So that's something to think about. Rankings isn't the end all be all. Just because you go to a top school doesn't mean you're smart. Just because you go to a lower ranked school doesn't mean you're not smart. It doesn't mean you're harder working or less hardworking, but just in the very specific, situation of rankings, let's start off with rankings. So here, we search for UT Southwestern Medical School ranking. Let's go to US News and let's see where they're ranked. All right, so they've got, or actually this person went to UT Southwestern for their undergrad. So let's do UT's, let's do that again, black men in white coats. Let's search for this individual. Let's go onto their LinkedIn profile again. I'm going to keep it up this time. All right. Oh, University of Missouri, Columbia. That was the school. So let's start there. Let's see how high ranked the school is. Ranking. US News is often going to be the first link you'll find. All right. It's number 124 in national universities. Typically, the higher ranking the school, the harder it will be to get into that school. So if we know right now, for example, that this person went to the 124th National University, let's try and figure out what the admissions criteria is. So let's go University of Missouri, Columbia, admissions profile. That's going to be the next search I'll do. Freshman admission statistics. Typically, for the college admissions process, you're going to need three things. One, your high school transcript, which is going to be your GPA. You're going to have your standardized tests, your ACT or SAT, or some schools have said that they're test optional because of COVID. And then the third is your application materials. So this will be your recommendation letters, and your essays. So let's take a look at some of the hard numbers. So here it says, let's see, test scores, ranking high schools, non-ranking high schools. Let's see how this works. We only use this table if your high school gives each student class rank. We do not accept class ranks given by high school classified as non-ranking. This table shows the minimum test score or rank you must earn. So you need to, so it looks like it's a sliding scale. So you need to have your ACT or your SAT and your class rank. So if you're in the top 6% of your class rank, it looks like you need to have a 17 on the ACT or a 920 on the SAT. So we can already start thinking about where we are, right, in the applicant pool. So if you're thinking to yourself, wow, actually here, like I've got a really good ACT, I've got a really good SAT, and I'm well above this. Let's say here, I've got a higher ACT than a 17. I've got an SAT that is higher than 920, and or I'm higher than the top 6. Awesome. If that's the case, let's go back to the national rankings and let's try and aim a little bit higher than 124. So let's go to colleges and let's do national universities, the full ranking list. And, you know, earlier we had 124. So it was like, you know, a little bit far down. So we're going to load more and we're going to see all the other schools that are above UT South, or we're going to have schools that are above the University of Missouri. Now, if you say to yourself, my GPA, my class rank is less than this, and my SAT, ACT scores are less than this, then let's look beyond 124. Let's look at 125, 126, so on and so forth. There are thousands of colleges in the US. Here, you notice, you know, that was class rank. Non-ranking high schools, you can have a GPA, right? So if you're at least a 365, ACT, SAT scores, use this as a starting point. And actually, this is relevant for all of us, by the way. If you're looking at colleges, you already know now if you should be aiming for above 124 or below 124. Now, what you want to do is you want to find, let's say 10, 20 colleges. Let's do 20 just to make it really safe, right? 20 colleges that are in the zone of where you are. And here, there are going to be two types of schools. They're going to be what are called reach schools and safety schools. Safety schools are ones where you know you're going to get in because you're above their criteria. Reach schools are where you have to reach to get in, meaning you, in the case of University of Missouri, maybe you've got, let's say, a 16 ACT and you know, a 3.0, a 3.5 GPA, right? You're lower on both areas. You could still get in, or actually, you know, more realistically, maybe you've got a 17, maybe you got a 365, maybe you're just at the very bottom of that cutoff. That could be a reach for you. In which case, you want to have a split of, let's say, you know, let's do this 50-50, right? Maybe like, you know, or let's do like quarters. Like, let's do, if you're going to apply to 20 schools, let's do 5 that are safety, or 7 that are safety, or 10 that are safety, and then do the rest as reach schools. Why is this important? Because you want to get into the best school possible, and I don't want you to apply to a school that is one that you're for sure going to get into. I want you to apply to schools that you'll get into just to be safe. But more importantly, I want you to put in that lottery ticket of, hey, you don't know until you try, apply to the best schools you can, given the criteria. Let me pause there. Does anyone have any questions, any follow-ups, any concerns, anything I said that was confusing? All right, I'm not getting much feedback, so why don't you all type into the chat Are you following me so far? Type a yes or a no into the chat. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so let me ask one more question. Any follow-up questions on this so far? Going once, going twice.
I think I have a question.
Yes, let's do it. Yay.
Okay, so I recently just took the ACT and I'm a junior, so I can take it again next year. And I got a 19, which I don't think is that good. So, and my GPA is actually like on the high school level, which we have ours is ranked on the 6.0 scale. And right now I currently have what is it? A 5.3. And I don't, can I get in this school like with that? Like, I don't know how I really ask this question, but when I reach for like a certain school, like should I go for like a school like this GPA should be higher than mine, but I actually currently have, and see if they would let me in?
Yeah, it's a good question. Do you have a list of schools already?
Somewhat. I have Texas A&M, Dallas Baptist University, TCU. What's another one? I think Prairie View University.
You said Purdue?
Prairie View
Oh, Prairie View.
University. Yes.
Awesome. Hey, why don't we do this together? So let's do admissions statistics, admissions requirements. I guess they want to call it that. Fine. It's your game. TCU. Texas A&M. Let's do this. All right. Let's do TCU, admissions requirements. All right, here we go. Prairie View, A&M. Minimum scores, ACT, 15. Cumulative grade point GPA, 2.80. Well, in your case, it was out of 6, right? So let's do GPA converter, 6 to 4. High school grading scale. What was the GPA? Tell me one more time. 5 point something?
5.3.
5.3. Let's do convert. 3.53. I've never seen this website before. So you should, find a couple more to make sure that this is correct. But let's assume you're a 3.5, 3. And you said, what was your ACT again? 19?
Yes.
All right. So so 19, you're above their ACT. You got a 3.53, which is above their 2.8. It looks like Prairie View might be your safety school.
Okay.
Maybe I have to look at some of the other ones. So let's try a couple more. So can do like class profile is another way you can search for this school. Freshman overview. All right, let's take a look. So average new SAT of admitted students is, all right, you took the ACT is 25 to 32. You said 19, so you're below the middle 50%, which means you have 100 people. The middle 50 is 25 to 32, so you're a little bit below that. And let's see if they have a GPA. Let me just Control F for GPA. I'm not seeing it. Fall freshman. Let's see. Texas A&M, GPA requirements. And of course, you're going to see a lot of websites like Prep Scholar and stuff. You can definitely go on those websites as well. Just make sure that the website, check a couple of websites just to make sure that you're getting the right information. Top percent of admits, review admits. All right, you know what? Let's trust these people for a sec. Admissions rate is 57%, which means, over 50% of people get in. Average GPA 3.68. SAT, ACT requirements, ACT of a 29. So I don't know if this is true because this is not their official website. So you want to look a little bit closer. But if this is true and the average ACT is 29 and you're at a 19, you might want to take the ACT again to make sure you're getting as close to a 29 as possible. Of course, you want like even more than that. And then for GPA 3.68, you had a 3.53. So you're a little bit below, which means maybe Texas A&M is your reach school, maybe.
Okay.
But like you can I'm the angsty type, so I want don't just apply to 1 or 2 or 3, apply to like 20 because you have one chance to get into a really good school, and I want to make sure that you're buying as many lottery tickets as possible. I saw something in the chat, so let me just check real quick. What's your school rank? Oh, good question. What's the highest score you can get on the SAT? Let's do this research together. So let's do SAT score range. 400 to 1600. But something you want to look at is whether some schools are test optional. So yeah, I'm going on the official SAT website, which is College Board, and it shows that the SAT is 400 to 1600. Any other questions so far? All right. Now, I want to quickly get into scholarships because I know a lot of you were talking about this. So when it comes to funding, I think about it in a couple of ways. So one is funding you can get from the school, funding you can get from the government, and funding you can get from private sources. From the school, these would be like departmental, let's look at Texas A&M financial aid. So actually let me just talk about each of the categories. So one is scholarships and financial aid from the school. So if you get into Texas A&M will give you money depending on how much financial need you have, which is based on how much money your parents make and how much money they have in their bank accounts, or merit-based aid. And that's a way of saying, if you have a good score, if you have good SAT scores, good GPA, and or really good extracurriculars, they might give you extra money just because they want to attract you. And something to keep in mind is a school that might be on the safety side means that you're going to have a really good chance of getting in. And the more you have a more competitive applicant you are for a certain school, the more likely they'll give you merit aid if they offer that at all, because they really want to attract you. They don't want you going to a better school. They want you coming to them. So that's on the school side. And then there's federal grants, which are called FAFSA. So it's FAFSA. And this is something that you should look into. The last one is scholarships. Scholarships are funded by, let's say, like wealthy people who want to give money. And for this, it would be based on, let's see, college scholarship database. I'm making this up. College scholarship search. Hey, looks pretty good to me. Let's make a list. When it comes to financial aid, let's think about financial aid versus merit aid. Financial aid is all about your parents' income. in general, if your parents make under, let's say, $60-ish thousand, there's probably a good chance that you're going to be eligible for some sort of financial aid. If you're on a free or reduced lunch, you might also be in that category. If you are, there might be other opportunities as well, like maybe you're DACA a recipient or whatnot. Really, the way I think about financial aid is like, I was in your shoes myself, so I guess I can use this word. Like, the poorer you are, the more money there will be for you. So don't think about this as like, oh, I feel bad about taking money. Like, I was in your situation and I was like, hey, someone's giving me free money to go to school, I'm going to take it. That's on the financial aid side. On the merit aid side, something I want you all to think about, especially if you're sophomores and even juniors, is I want you to think about building a good story, because often what merit aid involves is two things: how well you do in school and how interesting of a story you have. So if you are a top student in your grades and SAT scores, you're going to be eligible for some scholarships. But a lot of the scholarships are really going to be about community service, about leadership. So if you're a part of student government, clubs on campus, anything in the community service, if you're, musically inclined, if you're into sports, like really anything that you do that is outside of school, I want you to spend some time really investing in that. Because if we just went for like sports, college scholarships, we're going to find a ton of options. Let's say music, right? Like, let's say one of you all played the saxophone. Saxophone scholarships, music scholarships, scholarships.com. There you go. Let's say one of you, I don't know. Let's say one of you is a video gamer scholarships. 5 great scholarships for gamers. So just really think about, who am I? And who am I? What do I do? Like here, Aspiring Animation Professional Scholarship Program, $1,000 a year. Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Foundation, $2,500. Free money. So really think about that and start making a list. I want you to start making a list. And here I opened up a Google Doc. This is what I'd do. I'd go down here. I'd rename this to colleges. I misspelt colleges. Shame on me. I'm going to make another one for scholarships. And here I'm going to do name, link, deadline, and then the requirements. Like, I'm going to add another row here. Let's do, typically it's going to be essay, recommendation letter, and that's going to be good enough as it is. So let's try and make one up, right? Let's do sports scholarships. Let's do, actually, athletics is sort of its own beast. So let's do the music scholarship. Aerosmith scholarship, due June 2021. So apply now. Let's do Aerosmith scholarship. Let's search for it. Oh, this is specific to maybe a school. So let's say you wanted to do Berklee College of Music. Then what you're just going to do is you're going to go into here, put in the name, put in the link, put in the deadline, put like yes under essay. And then, let's say don't require a recommendation letter, put a no, and just make this list and keep an eye on those deadlines and start working on those applications. I know we're out of time. It's 12 o'clock. Let me pause now and just let you all ask questions. Did anything I say make sense? Not make sense? Does it raise any other questions? This is what I would do step by step. And we do have 4 minutes left. I'm getting the signal that we have 4 minutes left. So we have 4 minutes of questions.
My question really quick. How many scholarships would you recommend students apply for during their
Oh,
junior and senior year? That's one question that we get a lot. Like some of them just apply for one.
well, it, uh, it's kind of a funny question because my view is, why don't you apply for everyone that you're eligible for? Like the way I look at scholarships is it's free money, right? It's free money. It's sitting down the street. You just got to go walk down the street and pick it up. And if I told you now that, hey, walk down the street and you can pick up $100 bill, like I would, stand up, walk down the street and pick it up. That's the reality of scholarships as well. This money is going to go to someone. It might as well go to you. And actually, a lot of scholarships go unclaimed, which means someone has thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars that they're giving away, and no one applies. All it takes is one person to apply, and they would have given that person that money. So apply. What I would do is I would spend a couple of weeks. You all have time. Spend this weekend, next weekend, a couple of nights and weekends here and there, and make as long of a list as possible. So this is just one weekend's worth of work, let's say. Make a list. Let's say when I was in your position, I applied to over 100 scholarships, and I got actually quite a few of them, a couple dozen scholarships, ranging from like a couple $100s to tens of thousands of dollars. Free money, free money, free money. Why not? Why not raise your hand? I would never just apply to one, because you're putting, all your bets on that one lottery ticket. And I can guarantee you that you're eligible for more than just one scholarship. Free money, just remember that. Any other questions, concerns, anything I said that was confusing? Why don't you all give me a little bit of feedback in the chat window? Give me a yes or no. Did I answer your questions? Yes or no?
I have a question.
Yes, let's do it.
So do all colleges require you to, do you have to take the SAT and the ACT to get into a college?
Oh, that's a really good question. So so there are going to be schools that require standardized tests and schools that don't require standardized tests. For schools that do require standardized tests, you only need to take one of the two, whether it's ACT or SAT. So what I would do is I would first go online. Let's do this together. Or, I don't know if we have time today. So what I would do is I would go online and I would search practice SAT versus ACT and see if there's a way for you to go online and just take a couple of questions from both of those tests, because both of those tests are going to test different things and different people are going to find one test easier than the other. You want to find the test that you'll do the best in. So let's say you do the best in the SAT, study for the SAT, forget about the ACT, and go that way. Another search that I would suggest is first of all, make that list of schools first, right? Because that list will tell you where you should be aiming. And again, don't just, in that initial list, don't just have 20, have 100. And then narrow down that list from 100 to 20. And maybe you realize that your top 20 schools, the ones that you really want to get into, are ones that are test optional this year. Awesome. You don't even have to do the SAT or the ACT. So sequence is make your list of colleges, get it to 50, get it to 100, rank it from my preferred to my least preferred, make a list of 20. Within that 20, go on their website and see if they're test optional or not. If all of them are test optional, forget about the standardized tests. Focus on your essays, focus on your recommendation letters, focus on your scholarships and financial aid. If they are not test optional and they still require either the SAT or the ACT, the next step is to study for the test. Francine, did I answer your question?
Yes.
Do you have more questions?
When you take the SAT or the ACT, is a 20 a good grade, or is it like
20 on the ACT?
yeah?
So it's out of 36, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 20 out of 36 is sort of middle of the range. And so I think what I would do is, what is good versus bad is relative, right? It's relative to what school you want to apply to. And it's also relative to your own abilities. So I would first try to figure out, what school do I want to get to? What, like, where am I sort of in the GPA zone? And don't even just think about where am I eligible today, because you always have the opportunity this semester, next semester, to raise your GPA. So I don't want you to think in a static way and say, oh, well, I've got a 2.8 GPA. It's going to remain that. In my case, I increased my GPA at every semester to the point where I was eligible for some of the top schools. When I started studying for the SAT, I started off with at the time it was out of 2,400, so 2,400. And my first SAT was 1,600. And I increased it to a 2,200. So 1,600 to 2,200, I increased my score by 600. I hustled, I didn't really have a life, but I made it happen. And so I would really start off with, what schools do I want to apply to based on where I want to be? Then figure out what GPA do you need to get into that school, and then try and take the SAT or the ACT, figure out where you are, and figure out what score you need to get to, and then reach for that score. I don't want you to look at your score today and be like, oh, I've got a 20, that's it. I want you to keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Did that address your point, Francine?
Yes.
Keep pushing.
Okay, thank you very much. And just to briefly add before we close out is what Mr. Gorick was saying is that everything is dependent on where you're at right now, right? Some of the things that I'd like to tell you all is, could you get into this institution right now? And if not, what do you have to do to get accepted, right? And the other thing that that was not spoken was rank, right? We still have to look at class rank. Many institutions, they focus, if you're in the top 10%, you get automatically admitted in, every state institution in Texas. If you're not in the top 10%, many schools have the top 25% admission, where they look at, your rank, they look at your SAT, and also they look at, it's a holistic review afterwards. So depending on the schools, like let's take, for example, the J, if she was in the top 10%, she'll get automatically admitted to PV and any other school, right? She doesn't have to worry about SAT. She just takes it, gets whatever score, and she gets admitted, right? And we're not saying just take the SAT and get whatever score, because that's where merit-based scholarships come into play. That's what Mr. Gorick was talking about, right? The higher your SAT, ACT, the more money you might be considered for when it comes to merit-based scholarships. But that's other conversations that we will have in the coming sessions, as well as our summer programming. But thank you very much again for you being here, taking the time to be with our kids. And thank you all students for making the effort of being here and asking those questions and being present. Thank you all very much, and you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Reach out if you have any questions. Mr. Contreras, Ms. Hernandez, and others have, Ms. Martinez have my email. So reach out anytime.